My name is Victor Kisley. I am the CEO of Wargaming. We make World of Tanks.
Victor, what can tank fans expect from World of Tanks 1.0?
Well, this is the king of all updates. It's like a new game. The shortest version would be, okay, it's Frostbite Battlefield AAA quality of the visuals now. It's like relaunching it completely. The game is still like, this free to play and with progression, all those things we had before. Just now you play inside a Hollywood movie.
What are you personally most excited about with the new update?
Well, I played the last 2 nights. It was not very compatible with the jet lag, but I had to do it. Wow, like it's just, we have, I'll give you one number. We have something like 30-40 maps, 2-3 square kilometers each. So we're looking at 100 square kilometers of extremely highly detailed landscapes from German cities and Russian and Ukrainian villages with vegetation, forests, jungles, glaciers, etc. And all of that stuff is like interactable, destructible, and the effects like shock waves. When you move through water, your tank gets wet and then it dries out. The same happens with snow. If you do the police turn like on a snowy kind of like ground, then your tank is covered with snow and then the snow fades away.
So how does the 1.0 update build on the legacy to keep their current users but still add enough to bring new players?
This is one of the reasons why it took a little bit longer. Okay, apart from remaking all that content, it will work on the same old machines as the previous version of World of Tanks. That was our specific business goal, to keep our, let's say, Russian and Chinese players in, and we made endless experiments and tweaking for the new rendering system. So even if you have a very old computer today, if it ran World of Tanks yesterday, it will run with no lesser quality 1.0.
So you mentioned in the levels like with snow is a new dynamic element and sand's a new dynamic element. Where's the balance in that?
Well, obviously, when it comes to snow and sand, it's visual. Let's be honest with ourselves. The balance, don't get me wrong, these visuals is not the only thing we're doing in World of Tanks. By the way, since the launch 7.5 years ago in Russia, we released 70 updates, like major updates. If you think about it, that's a lot of updates. So what do we do? Of course, there's balance. There's new tanks. We have more than 5,000 different tanks of 9 nations today, right? And maps and esports and competitive gaming and various gameplay modes and community activities and streaming and viewership, and replays functionality. So we keep updating the game. More than 800 people actually working on World of Tanks, literal days and nights, starting from Sydney and all the way to US. I mean, it's a distributed development team. So we keep improving the game all the time. It just 1.0 is specifically for super uber realistic graphics.
How does the score from the Prague Symphony Orchestra impact the game, and what does music add to the overall experience?
Well, it is a symphonic orchestra. We used like around 50 different composers to actually compose different themes for each map. And the music is dynamic. I mean, when you're winning, it's invisibly, the music supports the concept of you're getting like to victory, the same for losing. So, I myself did not yet have enough time to really like immerse and play on all of the maps. But yeah, like in any good movie or any good game, there's a reason they give Oscars for music, right? So I believe we're approaching this Oscar level in music too, with the quality of recording and dynamic tweaking of the music when you play. I mean, like, you have to try it and see if it's immersive enough.
Can you elaborate more on the process of working with the orchestra, and what inspiration do they draw from to create the soundtrack?
Well, frankly speaking, I myself am not a music expert, right? So I knew, like, we have, in this case, as I say, we have specially trained people to do that. In the same way, specially trained people to find those blueprints and photos and archive materials for all those 1,000 tanks or sounds of explosions and then shots, etc. So I trust my sound designers and composers, whom we have like dozens of them in the company. I think they did the great job. So again, let me say, the best way to kind of feel it is to try it, but that's all I can say.
The new garage is by far one of the coolest features. What can players expect to see?
We will have a couple of them. Right now you have this one where you know what? When I first saw it, it's like your childhood. It's a forest, it's a pine forest. It's like a camp. So there's a tank, and there are people going around, the soldiers. I mean, it's obviously nobody's fighting in the garage. So they have fire, they prepare some food, they move around, they have their t-shirts, so they're not fully dressed. And you feel like those scout years where you're in the forest and the rays of the sun and the birds are singing. It's probably the most peaceful amongst all the military games kind of place, our garage. It's very, very peaceful. I want to go back to my childhood looking at this garage, really.
What's it been like seeing your company grow exponentially these last 7 years?
Can you ask it again?
Yeah. What's it been like seeing your company grow so quickly and rapidly over these last 7 years?
Obviously, 8 years ago, when we were about to launch and then launch World of Tanks, we still did not believe, or we still did not think that the game would be so big, and then it happened. We literally had a hockey stick growth, etc. Yeah, there were a couple of years when, let's be honest ourselves, we were a little bit too relaxed, a little bit too confident, a little bit too, sometimes even arrogant, and it beat us in the lower part of the back severely. And we learned our lessons. So the company is still private. It means our boss is the player only, and we mean it. There's no stock market. There's no share price. There's no board of directors who's evil bankers, or VCs. So we only are responsible in front of our players. So now it's religion at Wargaming. I'm still the CEO, and I'm not planning to change my job anytime soon. And this is mantra and religion we have. 1.0, by the way, is very well accepted. Like for the last 48 hours, it was launched in Russia, and today it's launched in the US and Europe. So far, touch wood, we have only positive response from the media, from the YouTubers, and from the players, which is most importantly. So that's what we probably that's not what you want to hear exactly, but we had ups and downs. We were in the heaven and the skies and red carpet and all that stuff. We had it, and the wild parties too. You have to do it moderately, and I myself realized that for the last couple of years, I think we should not be ashamed of anything. We're hard working in the trenches every day. 1.0 was a good demonstration of what can be achieved if you're decent, hardworking, disciplined. And the most important thing, we moved the company to maybe a little boring detail, to product structure. Before that, we were functional, development, publishing, finance. Now World of Tanks is like a separate business. World of Tanks for the PC is like a separate business with its own P&L, leadership, etc. Of course, games like World of Warships, World of Tanks Blitz, they still can use for free the resources of the company, IPs and knowledge base and code base and technologies, etc. And we share a lot in between the teams. Yeah, but their focus of World of Tanks people is World of Tanks players first of all. Through surveys, through watching statistics, meeting with the players. So the company is transforming itself. It's very important to be humble and understand that your success can go away if you stop being humble and disciplined.
What are some of the challenges when managing a global game that's in so many different regions and countries? For example, you may release a tank in Russia that sells super well, and then you release it in the US and it sells terrible and players don't like it. What are some of the challenges in making sure that everybody's content with the games and the tanks you release?
Probably we were a little lucky with the topic, because tanks apparently happen to be barbed wired in the DNA of the guys. 90% or 98% of our audience is obviously guys, right? So tanks work very well in US, in Russia, in Japan, in Singapore. Of course, Russia, for historical reasons, it's madness because it's a part of former Soviet Union culture and Russian
sister,
culture.
yeah.
Because, you know, the same for Poland and Germany for historical reasons. However, from the video gaming standpoint, it's a perfect battle machine. Yes, first-person shooters where you run on your two legs and, you know, shoot a rifle, pretty much. Okay, it could be BFG rifle, but it's still like a two-hand rifle, or throw a grenade. Tank is cooler, so it moves like a car, but it has this armor. It's very heavy, makes no mistake, it can protect itself if needs to be. It can bounce bullets for sure, and some shells and big shells too. It has a big gun with a turret, you know, designed to incorporate, you know, like the crew members to operate the gun and the tank. It doesn't have any unnecessary details. Like everything on the tank has its purpose. It's big, it's heavy, it's manly, it's powerful. What else do you need? It's a perfect destruction machine for a video game. Let's not forget, I mean, we are against any sort of like violence in real life or wars, but on the computer screen, that's a good place to blow some stuff up.
Do you have a favorite tank in the game and why?
Oh yes, Maus. Maus, it's a German, actually they built two. So it's a 180-ton machine. It's as big as this, it's slightly smaller than this room, it's higher than this room. It's pure power and, but frankly speaking, the whole point of World of Tanks and the fact that we have 500,000 tanks is that there's no one tank which kills it all. There always you have to choose between, you know, firepower, mobility, the speed of your turning, your weight, your protection, your agility. It's a lot of parameters you have to combine, plus the teamwork aspect, plus different kinds of maps. That's why people keep playing it for 7 years non-stop, like myself. So there's always something new. There's always, you never play one tank. We see statistics, people jump from, you know, they try tanks, light tanks, medium tanks, heavy tanks, tank destroyers, artillery. So that's the beauty of it. It's a never-ending variety.
So the last question is, do you think you'll ever get to a point where you'll make a new game with all three planes, ships, and tanks combined and have a massive all-out war?
Well, we got this question a lot so far. We did not yet find formula which will make it fun. Let's not forget, history is history. Let's say some reality is reality. However, we're an entertainment product and we have to keep people, you know, entertained for years, which we're doing. So, and our battles, we cannot afford to have like realistic time frames or scales in any of our games, because otherwise it will be like days of boring, doing nothing kind of, you know, moving around things. So our battles are fast, like, you know, 10, 12 minutes and the battle is over. So far we did not yet find. As a company, we have extensive R&D capabilities. I wouldn't be, I mean, like dozens, if not hundreds of programmers and designers. In addition to the, so some of them, like that's their specific R&D job. We're looking for new gameplay mechanics all the time. When something in a new prototype, then we test it internally with friends and family. So from time to time, we hit the sweet spot with some kind of gameplay mechanics which works. Then we turn it into a product. But to your question, so far, no.